More UK rap soul, We Were There with Watercolour by Frankie Stew and Harvey Gunn. Then into the Slow Burn by Casey Musgraves, an Australian country vibey classic. Tom, you're up.
I'm up, and my question is, I have started my own podcast / radio show and am living a little bit of what I imagine you were living in those early days where it's like a few cameras and your buddy in the back studio of your house, and you start with your teammates and you're sort of hustling, and you talk about, as well as earning $22 an hour with a bunch of grad students at 3AW, was it?
Yeah.
So how do you get from there to what I perceive you as and our audience perceive you as now, is like, which is what you are, as a successful business owner, a audience and a reach and a market of probably like millions of people who know you and buy into your stuff. And certainly my experience of coming on your podcast was that your reach was just so much larger than I'd ever anticipated. And how does one get from $22 an hour and grad job spec to having something really cool that you loved and believed in and started yourself?
I appreciate those kind words. And in terms of your podcast, you did that yourself, mate. You brought a lot of people to that. Also, I know how many people really appreciated your chat, and especially myself too. So, but I appreciate the kind words. I suppose to answer the question, it got to a point where probably I wasn't investing as much time as into the radio gig that I probably should have, and I always had a somewhat of a brain that I wanted to do my own thing and own my own content. That was sort of in my brain from a young age. I'd heard Andy Lee and Hamish talk about this, Hamish and Andy, about how they always owned everything they did, and it just made a lot of sense to me, thinking like, okay, I just want to continue doing my own thing, and it got to that point where you just got to start like taking risks, and the world works in mysterious ways. I was like a casual at 3AW. I just sort of stopped getting put on shifts, and as that like worked, I ended up getting a couple sponsors and selling some merch, and it was just a really weird experience. And I know it's stupid, but it's why I believe in the universe so much. You just got to like put yourself out there and show what you want and just let it work, and it just goes your way. So, and I'm not saying at any point that's going to be easy, and it might not work straight away, but the pivots will get you to a certain point.
And how far into the experience of doing your own podcast in years, like how far in is this point where you're like casual work drops off and you get a couple sponsors and you're like starting to see the dream can unfold?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 years in. Yeah, 3 or 4 years in. So I was still doing it like just casually, like after work, all those bits and pieces. And then my brother-in-law started a business, and they had a little room out the back of this deli in Albert Park. And you know where the Players Association is?
No, I do not. No.
Okay, it's in Albert Park, and across the road there's an Albert Park deli, and I used to just work upstairs. So I'd bring people through a deli upstairs into this like little room. It was probably a third of the size of this. And we'd just do the pods and keep going. And the way that was actually possible was through merchandise. So back then, like, it was easily the thing that just kept the show going. And I knew that the amount of support we got to get there and just continue sort of grinding through that was amazing. And then COVID hit, so there was a stuff of like, I just continued through it. I just did it online. Everything was online, but we just didn't stop. And COVID was a terrible thing for a lot of people, but I think for me, it just made me lock in even more.
People were also attached to their phones more. They had more time to consume. Exactly.
So it was probably a good time for that. And then through that, it just developed. We found a place in Richmond with a mate of mine, Nick Butler, my business partners, Adam Baldwin and Zach Kangalaris. We took a lot of risks and, just have all sort of paid off. And not straight away, by the way. Like, there's been so many ups and downs and a lot of, long payment terms and some cash flow issues and all those bits and pieces that are still always pop up here, there and everywhere. It's not linear, that's for sure. There's always problems that pop up, but it's grown into something that we love doing and we have a lot of fun. I genuinely don't feel like I work. I just do my thing.
Man, I wanted to almost revisit a point that you made earlier. It could have even been last week's episode, a bit of time's passed. It's hard to remember.
Yes. Yeah, that was last week, wasn't it?
But you kind of like said something along the lines of there's no overnight successes, you know, like things in reality very rarely just infinitely pop off and it's all happened. And I'm not even speaking about material success or running successful business, but it feels like in my life, and I wanted to jump in, so I am now, even when you learn lessons and have understandings, it's like probably 18 months until you actually change your behaviour or until it really materialises and solidifies into something that's like, oh, yeah, okay, I am that now. And I've always really noticed it, and it was a great saying that almost pricked my ears when you said it, because it doesn't just happen overnight.
No.
Personal growth or business growth, it's a lot of hard work, a lot of slow understanding, and then eventually it all fruits at once, right? And Dylan Friends had a couple years of being, you must be close to one of the top podcasts in Australia.
Well, mate, there's
how's it work?
plenty that are bigger and better. But look, we got an amazing community, and that's all that I sort of care about now, is just trying to harness that and be true to the content. Like, when things get bigger, they get harder because you got sponsors, you got other things that you need to do, and I've definitely made some decisions that I'm not proud of in terms of, like, I wouldn't say I'm not proud of, but I think I've learnt from it. Going, like, fuck, did I skew away from why I'm actually doing this versus what's commercially viable and all those bits and pieces. But it's all just a part of the journey. I feel like I'm in a really good place now with good people around me and a really good team to get things done. But yeah, I love your point. I actually read an amazing book once, and it was called The Mountain Is You. I've got to send it to you guys. You guys would love it. And it speaks a lot about, like, your inner voice and, like, all these things that sort of push you, and the voice that is actually like the softest voice. And like when you were talking about before about, like, sometimes it takes a time to be, like, really quiet, and there's so many loud voices that are in your head about, like, should be doing this, should be doing that. But then when this other voice comes in, it's like super, like, just calm, and it just is like, no, this is it. And then you're like, oh, okay, I'll go there. Is that too woo?
No,
Yeah, it's
not
not
on this show.
not on this show.
Yeah.
This show is
Okay.
about as woo as it gets.
Good.
And we
Can you read the book
always,
though? Because it explains it better. It's fucking cool.
I was about to
It's called
say,
The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weist. Or Weist.
and shout out at PTA.listen if you have read that book, because I know a lot of our audience do engage in these sort of
Yeah,
concepts.
definitely.
So
No,
we
for
talk
sure.
about
For
meditation and mindfulness and personal growth and self-help, and we've discussed lots of different resources relating to that.
I just had a quick question. It might be a selfish question. Was there an interview that changed things, something you didn't expect, or was there an interview that you were like, that is so underrated, that person was just so amazing and didn't get the flowers?
I'm so glad you asked this. I was about to
question.
ask it before.
I think, like, Zach Dawson walked so Tom Barrass could run. So he was like the
In
first,
so many ways
so you know
as
what I
well.
mean? No, like, not just in podcasting. I'm talking everything. And it's,
In
sorry,
being a dud
Barrass
footballer.
now. I fucked it up. Sam Mitchell the other day was grilling me, man.
Mate.
It actually made me more anxious about it.
I loved it. I thought you cut
Your
that
face
reel
on
up
it
very
too, man.
well.
You're like,
I thought you
It's
cut that up well.
Barrass.
But
and he
like,
goes, it's not hard. And you,
truly, Barrass sounds
Anyway,
cool.
so
more
run me
meaning
through
in the
Zach
sense, like,
Dawson.
I had him, so it was a jovial show, which is great, and I love those episodes. But the one about Zach was amazing because if people remember him playing, it was much maligned in the sense of he would just cop so much fucking shit, and people were like, oh, he's a spud, he's this, he's that. But then I had this episode with him where he explained what had happened and his role in the team and actually the impact of some of the things that had happened. And I just remember going, so many people were like, oh, fuck, I never realised that. Like, I didn't realise players went through that. And that was a point where I was like, wow, I actually can not change perspectives, but give people a voice to actually like experience what they're like. So to this day, it's probably my favourite episode is that one, because it was very early in the piece and it just sort of opened up a new avenue of players coming on and actually just being honest, I suppose, with their story.
Oh, I'm not going to lie, I'm a bit disappointed. Thought I'd be up there.
You're in the top 20. There's over 300,
I'm
man.
just
No,
joking.
you're up there.
I'm
You're
completely
definitely up there.
joking.
Man, I reckon-
And may I just say, Matt, sorry, is some Dylan Friends content made its way to my Instagram, one day when
Which
I was
one?
sitting on the
Can
couch.
we talk about how your sister got our pod done?
Got
we
it going. We did get that
Now.
going. And anyway, it was one of my good mates from the 6019 Scarborough, Jesse Hogan, and he was talking about trials and tribulations and Tom Barrass and
He's got a
Zach
crazy
Dawson,
story.
and hey, this is actually my story, and everyone in the world and the way the media portrays me and my public persona is actually this. But when you hear my side of the story, it's actually a completely different thing, and you can start to understand people's decisions and ideas and how they might be hard done by. And like, I can personally say that I was so impressed, and I reached straight out to Jesse and was like, mate, I just saw a segment of you talking on Dylan and Friends, and it was so special to me because I know Jesse so well. And then I've seen him go on your show and absolutely kill it, and for you to provide him a platform to do that, or Zach Dawson, I think is really special.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, mate. And that was hard for him too. Like, I think Jesse would be honest, like he'd never done anything like that. So it was like ripping a pretty big Band-Aid off. And I was honoured that he wanted to come on and tell the story. Like, I'll never push anyone to do anything, but it was pretty cool.
Time for a couple of tracks.
Let's do it.